Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tan. I'm the Director of Sales for EMEA. It gives me a great pleasure to have Kostas Panagakis on the video with us today. Kostas, you run one of the most trusted PR and marketing companies in Greece. For our audience, can you introduce yourself?
Good evening, Tan. Thank you very much for having me today. Travelworks is one of the leading hospitality PR companies in Greece, currently working with large hotel chains, boutique hotels, restaurants, yachting companies, and anything related to the hospitality industry.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today. Recently, I heard that the Greek government announced that they were allowing year-round hotels to be opened from June the 1st. What are the two top challenges do you think these hotels will face in the coming 3, 6, or 12 months?
It is quite a challenging time for hotel owners and hotel operators in Greece. If I had to rank the first two priorities and the top two challenges that they will be facing, the first one would be balancing their operations now that they're going to open on June 1st, together with a very harsh cash flow status that they're under with. I mean, imagine being a hotelier. Currently, you have to tackle anything from hygiene laws and regulation up to where you will find the cash flow to survive within the next 3 or 4 months in order to perform your actual duties. Take into account you will be probably allowed a smaller capacity. You will be probably be required to have double the staff. You will see that this equation is very difficult to make actually not profit, also minimize damages. It's quite a challenging task to do. And the second thing that they will have to do is actually reinvent their feeder markets. Up to now, Greek hoteliers used to work with specific markets that currently are not available, are not open to travel. And we have to reinvent ways and reinvent niches of the market where we can attract new clients.
And where do you think these sort of new markets, where do you think they're going to come from?
Depends. What we see is a huge change in the competition set of hotels. I mean, up to now, a boutique hotel in a Greek island would have its, neighboring hotels as competitors. Now that the challenge is how you get to the destination, how do you fly to the country, your competition set changes a lot. So you have to be innovative. You have to find new ways to attract clients from different countries. And the problem is that these new ways do not work overnight. You need to build trust with local travel agents. You need to build trust with the local hospitality professionals. You cannot, just fill up a hotel overnight. A lot of work needs to be done, and a lot of effort has to go to marketing and communication. The problem is that currently, we all are in the shadows. Nobody knows how the next 20, 30, 40 days are going to evolve.
So, I mean, you say we've literally got 6 weeks in order to kind of get ready. Do you think Greek hoteliers are prepared?
What I'm sure about it is that when the time comes and when the day of the opening comes, they will be ready. Currently, they are exploring the most efficient ways to continue doing the amazing job that this country has done in containing the virus. We are very proud in Greece of what we have achieved up to now, and we hope to continue doing so in the near future as we gradually open our country.
I mean, you mentioned something about hygiene earlier on in the conversation. We've got big brands like Hilton or Accor, all announcing sort of new standards of hygiene, and they're really setting that benchmark for the rest of the industry. How do you think sort of independent brands or boutique hotels in the Greek market, how should they communicate their efforts through PR and marketing to win the confidence of their future guests?
First of all, I think it's a brilliant move on behalf of the large hotel chains to actually be so extrovert in the way that they tackle the hygiene issue. They are the leaders, and they are leading by example. If a large hotel chain can adapt, then a boutique hotel ought to adapt as well. Now, as regards your question, how do boutique hotels can promote this? Well, there are three ways. First of all is marketing, which is the
Mm-hmm.
key issue here. And when I say marketing, it has to move a little bit higher than just communicate your sanitizers or your masks or whatever. You have to make the guest feel safe. The guest comes in your hotel in order to spend his or her vacation. They come to spend 2 weeks in the summer that are going to fuel their entire winter with energy and nice memories. So it's not about communicating gloves and procedures and rankings and whatever. You have to make them feel safe. The second thing is you could actually pursue some independent certification. You could address independent organizations that actually provide certificates for procedures like that, and you could move on that way. And the third, the most important one, because let's not forget that we're here in the long run. It's not about a month or two. It's word of mouth and how this can disseminate through review media, not only social media. I mean, if a guest comes in June and feels welcome, and everybody rolls out as it should be, and they feel safe, and they write about it, it will move on to the second one, and then on to the other members of its community.
Mm-hmm. And what is the best medium, do you think, to communicate to like local Greek guests? Is there a different medium that they respond to better? Would you say it's more social media or
Greek
more?
Yeah, well, it's a bit of both. Printed press currently is under much, let's say, pressure. I believe that's global. It's not a Greek issue. But then again, we see online content consumption skyrocketing. So I would say that a very well-balanced mix of social media, digital promotion, as well as printed press would do the thing. Up to now, the challenge in communicating Greek hotels to the Greek audience is that there is, for the past 5 years or more, since the crisis, I would say from the past 10 years, Greek hoteliers have addressed international audiences. The Greek audience had been their backup plan. It has been let's say 10% of the revenue. So they haven't communicated to that audience for a long time. So it's quite a nice surprise for the Greek audience to receive messages that are actually curated for them. I mean, it's my first time in the past 6 years that I'm drafting newsletters in Greek.
Really? I mean, for you, it's what kind of messages do you think will land with them?
It's easier. I think everybody can relate to this. It's easier to feel safe in your own country. I mean, I ask you the question whenever somebody asks me when this will be all over. My answer is, when will you take your kids and toddlers on a vacation abroad? But you would do that in Greece. You would do that in your own country. It's easier to address a Greek audience and ask them to enter, a ferry for 4 hours and go to a Greek island. It would be much more difficult to convince the same audience to go on a ferry in Thailand, for example. It doesn't have to do with destination. It has to do with the mentality of feeling safe within your own region, feeling safe within your own borders.
So I guess reading some of the stuff that's coming out on COVID. I think ABTA did a study as well, and it's more about not being stranded in a different country. I think if you travel within your own country, at least you know that if anything should happen or if there's another wave, you can get home quite safely. You're not so reliant on international flights to kind of ship you back home. Absolutely. Following on from the topic of hygiene, what do you think your predictions of consumer or products sort of trends sort of post-COVID?
Oh, that's interesting. The need for travel will be there in any case. It's deeply rooted into our DNA. It's not going to stop now. For the past 4 centuries, since the 17th century, when the first Europeans just went to south of France, traveling has been, part of our DNA. It's who we are, what we do. A lot of things are going to change, though. I mean, People will have a better understanding of the value of life. I mean, even getting a cup of coffee out of a coffee shop now feels like, having an excursion. People will understand the value of life and the value of time. And this is what will make the travel experience more relevant to what they need. There are a lot of people talking about more regional traveling. I'm not talking about within your country, I mean within your region. People are going to value the experience that they get, and they are going to require this experience. They're going to want more of it. So it won't be the case of, for the past 5 years, everybody thought that if we want a trip to count, make it count, you would have to go halfway down the world. You would have to travel from Greece to Australia or from Australia to New York in order to say, you know what, I did an amazing trip. That's not the case. Now, people more than ever, I believe, will relate more to hospitality proposals that trigger them and make them feel better. In order to do that, you don't have to go halfway across the world. Traveling will not stop, but yeah.
Yeah. So you think that people will become more culturally rooted in their own sort of country and experiencing, let's say, I guess, exploring much more of their country than they have ever done before? Do you see a difference between sort of high-end travel? Do you see them, a difference between that kind of consumer to, let's say, to the mid-range, to the budget range? Do you see there's a difference between them and in the way they will consume travel?
Yes, there is a vast, let's say, how can I say that? The way that the ultra high net worth individuals have been impacted by the coronavirus and the way that medium range, let's say, incomes have been impacted by the coronavirus also affects the way that they treat travel. If you could afford a private jet and a helicopter to take you to your private yacht pre-COVID, you can do it post-COVID. Easier. If you could afford taking a helicopter going to a villa in an island, it will be much easier now. And this is not necessarily good or bad. It's that the changes that we're going to see most probably will not affect the ultra high net worth individuals. But again, we must stress out that even in these cases, people will tend to value more family. They will tend to value more time spent with family, and they will invest more in their traveling. They will not take themselves around the globe just to be stranded in a mega resort. They will want to take value out of their experience.
So you're saying for sort of the high net worth customers, they can afford to have the luxury of having that bespoke trip where they can organize, their own sort of jet, go to their own sort of quarter of their hotel, the hotel suite or villa, down to actually individual activities as well. They can afford to have these private excursions and activities. Is that what you believe that will happen?
The new luxury comes very close tied with privacy. I mean, privacy is the number one concern right now when it comes to protecting yourself through these turbulent times. So yes, if privacy is the new luxury, yes, it will be easier for them.
So what happened with the mid-range then? Family travel, mentioned family travel is very important. A lot of families have to save, a year in order to afford to travel, and do these activities. And you talk about family time. So it's all about, doing things with the children. Do you think they'll have the budget in order to, let's say, take a family of 4 to do all the activities? And then do you think they'll suffer because they can't afford the additional sort of privacy that maybe high-end luxury travelers can do? Do you think that will put them off?
I believe that hospitality will find its balance. I'm not sure on which basis and through which patterns, but hospitality will find its balance. Even in mega resorts that used to be for families and now they have to cut in half their, let's say, capacity. You can, for example, segment rooms. You can segment whole chapters of the hotel. You can segment the way that you invite people within a hotel. I mean, you have seen it in large metropolitan areas. If you make a road one way, you provide at the same time more security for these people. So if you use smart, let's say, solutions like that, and I'm not talking just about a seated breakfast instead of a breakfast buffet. I'm talking about much more than that. I'm talking about much more making the experience more close to the requirements of the post-COVID era. Hospitality professionals will find a way to welcome guests again.
So you're saying that personalization is sort of the key to the driver for this.
Yes.
Without personalization, you would need segmentation, right? And knowing your guest database.
Everybody has to reassess what they think they know about their clients and how their clients are going to treat themselves. You have to get into the mind of the mother of 2 toddlers, entering a hotel room and sanitizing again everything that she sees. You have to take into account swimming into a swimming pool with, or even a kid's swimming pool with 20 or 30 or 40 toddlers, spraying around water. Hospitality will find its way, and it has in the past, and it will do it in the future. And don't forget, the chance of finding both a cure and a vaccine, so that we can all leave this behind. But even as we try to strive now through this difficult, 6 or 4 or 8 or 12 months, I believe we will find a way, because traveling and hospitality is part of our DNA.
Well, thank you for that. In your mind, do you think, when we talk about finding a way, what would be the first, and talk about cash flow, and there's a lack of cash flow at the moment. If there was one recommendation of what you think hoteliers should do in order to know their guests better, what do you think that they should invest in?
Currently, if they want to know their guests, and I would say that currently we are at point 0. We don't know who our guests will be. I mean, you have hotels with 0 bookings or canceled bookings all the time. You don't know which airline will fly to which country. But if you were to explore again the way that you attract your clients, I would say that you should invest in technology, in the ways that you can get data about consumer trends, and always depending on what is your offer. Yeah? If you are on the ultra high net worth grid, you need to invest in totally different technology in order to get the trends. If you are in the medium range, again, different trends. What everything comes down to is the correct partners that you work with. And I'm not talking about PR, I'm not selling our company, I'm talking about the hospitality advisors that will help you identify not just the audience that will put the heads in the bed. I'm talking about the audience that will actually make a difference. That you will create a repeater, that you will create a fan of your brand. I mean, everything that we knew about hospitality is about to change. From distribution to marketing, from PR to yielding. It's going to be quite a challenging time. But through this time, hoteliers have an amazing opportunity to bond with the new audiences that they will create.
Yeah, I think in times of crisis, those that survive are those that innovate, and change the way they work, or take this as an opportunity to start as a clean slate. And again, like you said, we don't know what the customers are now, and actually having the best practice in place in order to kind of, how do you acquire that information? What should you do with that information, and how do you communicate that information? Is really important. Yeah, absolutely agree with you there, Kostas. I think wrapping this up, what region of Greece would you head off to when the sort of things start relaxing in the 1st of June?
What region of Greece? You have.
Yeah.
I am biased here. I cannot say. There's a small island. There's a small island in the surrounding Gulf. It's called Spetses. You should visit.
What makes it special?
I can't say. It's the fantasy that creates, actually. It's the fantasy that you feel when you visit this island. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds really special. I'll put that on my list and I'll do a little bit Google search and
I
dream
will send you
about visiting
photos. I
that.
will send you photos.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank
And
you.
you know
Thank
what?
you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very
I feel
much.
like I've
Thank you
learned
very
a
much
lot.
for your time.
Thank you. Take care.